Hey everyone, Jimmy with the Triple C Collective here for another Sci-Fi Sunday commentary track. What are we doing today, Collin?
We are talking about The Bad Batch Season 2. So in Season 1, let's recap that real quick. We just basically met Omega. We re-met Hunter, Tech, Wrecker, Echo, and Crosshair from Clone Wars. The end of it, we were introduced to the Bad Batch in there, Rogue Squadron 99, who eventually meet Omega and Camino, which the first season is basically, to me, it's, Order 66 goes off, and it's basically from there the rise of the Empire and the fall of Camino is the second part of what I think season one's essentially about. Like the fall of Camino also representing like the fall of like what's coming for the clones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, I think it's representative of what like the new order feels about the clones. They think of them more of them as liabilities than they do as trained soldiers who are
loyal soldiers.
Are loyal because at the end of the day, the Rogue Squadron kind of proves that it's not. I mean, yes, they had inhibitor chips taken out and whatever, but the inhibitor chips only have so much power anyway because after a certain point, whatever. Well, it gets more into that. I think the only things in season one we really need to talk about are when Crosshair turns on him, which was heartbreaking.
That was awful.
Yeah, because Crosshair's the best.
That hurt.
But like, I still love him as a bad guy.
He's a great
I
bad
think
guy.
he makes sense as a bad guy because he's also pretty redeemable. He is still affected by the inhibitor chip, but how much that's actually making him do what he's doing right now. We met Fennec Shand,
which was awesome.
which was super cool. Wait, can we cut? Hold on. Let me think. So Crosshair turns on him. That's the worst part of season one, I think.
Yeah.
He's the best character. When I met him in Clone Wars, and I was upset that he turned bad, that he was the one, but it makes sense, and it's going to be fun to see what they do with that.
Yeah. It's really great. I'm really excited to see Crosshairs. I'm really excited to see everybody else come back. But one thing that did surprise me in season one was when we saw Fennec Shand show up.
Yes.
That was really cool.
Yep.
Because
Who shows up in Mandalorian, first, and then moved on to Boba Fett. But it's an earlier iteration of her where she's like straight up bounty hunter in her bounty hunting days, and
like where she's getting that reputation that people know her and talk about her in, and like what Din Djarin and everybody like knows her in the Mandalorian universe,
she is this,
30 40 years later and stuff. So like it's pretty cool in that sense. Like when we saw her last season. And then
we also met Vice Admiral Rampart, who shows up again in this season.
Yeah.
So far, we haven't seen Fennec Shand, so that was just fun. Hopefully, we see her again. That would be great. But they could hold off a few seasons, maybe. I don't know. But Vice Admiral Rampart is he's like a new Empire guy. He's in this new Empire. He is Vice Admiral, as I said, so he has a lot of power. But he is working directly for General Tarkin. And General Tarkin doesn't take kindly to mistakes.
No, he does not. And so with that, I mean, that's basically the recap of our first season here, of season one at least. And so episode 1 is The Spoils of War. Let's just dive into it. One thing.
Great
Hold
name.
on. Yeah, great episode title. But before we start that, the one thing that I do love every time when I boot up anything on Star Wars now and on the Disney Plus is I love the helmet intros that they give. It's pretty great. It's just awesome. I love that they do it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have noticed, they've marvelized the intros a bit, and I appreciate it, actually. It's really cool because they'll throw in little Easter eggs and they'll take people out and put people in, and when a new show drops, it's kind of it's fun. It's fun. It's fun.
They
you know Star Wars is on now already. Like it's like it's getting your seats. So,
it's fun.
Yeah.
But you know what else was a lot of fun and had a lot of like Indiana Jones adventure, like energy to it, was this whole opening to episode 1, Spoils of War.
It was like Indiana Jones in the daylight.
Yeah.
It was or like a pirate. It was like I think they're a group of good noble pirates running around just collecting booty, not that kind, and they're doing their missions, and so they're out there, and the first thing I noticed when we played it, other than the beautiful animation style and upgraded again every year of this show, it keeps getting better and better since Clone Wars started, was their new takes on their costumes and their new takes on their armor.
Yeah, it's like a new paint job.
Yeah, new paint job, modded out. It's fun because they're clearly trying to demarcate that they don't mess with the Empire anymore.
You know what? It's got a lot of Sabine Wren.
Totally.
A lot of Sabine Wren energy to it.
We're meeting her soon in Ahsoka, so I can't wait.
Oh yeah, live action.
Sabine Wren's my favorite character, other than Ahsoka. Those are my 2 favorite Star Wars characters. Anyway, and so I can't wait. But that did give me throwback to that. So yes, I was really excited to see them doing it. It's not necessarily like they're cool mod, like they're not like they're just kind of smeared and like it's almost like rustic and dirty and it's been scrapped up and beat up. But they're trying to differentiate themselves from what it was. It's
so great because we see Tech being like the teacher chaperone person to Omega, and making sure that Omega stays up on her studies.
Yeah,
we have Hunter, Echo, and Wrecker being chased by giant crabs.
Exactly.
And like I said, this whole sequence has a lot of like Indiana Jones feel and stuff to it, but it's awesome. I love it.
But high stakes, and it's fun. Like, they're running from these giant crabs. They're about to kill them.
I love every little bit about it. We get, Omega learning about different kinds of ships, of Imperial ships.
Yeah, which is cool. Because they show there's some Easter eggs there about, the ships they show.
And so, that's really cool when we see those different, the different ships and everything. And they're cutting back and forth. Omega's also fishing off their ship. Then their ship basically gets attacked by crabs. Right. One of the things that she hooks at as she's fishing is a crab. And Omega then goes out into what would you say, boss mode here?
Yeah, and it's the coolest you've seen Omega, because I think Omega in the first season was more of a MacGuffin used to move the team to where they needed to be. She was a goal. She was used as a goal. There was a little bit of character arc here and there, but it was mostly just you getting to accept that she's part of this family now. And now that we're in on that, we're cool with it. Now we can start developing her character, and they just went off right away. Okay, clearly she's been learning off screen. Now she's really good at using that bow and arrow thing that she's got, and it's so cool to see. Because she was not a stick in the mud, but it wasn't my favorite character yet. And now I think they have more to work with her. You know
what it is? You know what else I felt here? As much as I was feeling the Indiana Jones adventure vibe here, but what you were just talking about, she learned some stuff. It also had a lot of Return of the Jedi, Luke coming back to Jabba being doing all of his stuff, because the last time we saw him he was kind of banged up, lost a hand.
Yeah, definitely.
Lost a hand, found out Vader was his dad, Hans and Carbonite. You know,
it's not as dark yet, but yeah, she's not. She hasn't gone through the.
She didn't have that, but it had that feel to
She's
it.
getting, she's gonna.
You know, like
yeah, definitely.
Like, so it had that feel of like her coming back, knowing so much more, being able to handle her bow, dude. When she like cuts the line and then hooks herself up and she's just dangling from the ship and like Hunter's
so cool.
Hunter's like, why is she hanging from the ship? Like, oh man, it's great.
Right, when Hunter's freaking out,
And like, but her like, you know,
Dad
just shooting,
Hunter. Father
right?
Hunter,
right? Hunter father.
Yeah.
But that's great. Like,
well, I think that another great thing about Omega that you know, as much as I say I didn't necessarily love her character in the first season, I love Michelle Ang like playing her.
She's
like,
so good.
She's great.
Fantastic.
Like the New Zealand, like they kept the New Zealand vibe, which I appreciated. So, and we still like don't know who Omega is really. Like, you know, there's hints and stuff, but yeah, it's all that's still up in the air.
Well, and like to be fair, we get a lot more episodes this season too, as well. Like, or like along with this season, not just season 2. But like, so I'm super excited about it because we also get double episode drops. I think episode 7 and 8 is a double episode drop.
Sweet.
And then, like, I think episode 16, 17 is also an episode. Those are the things
why I don't mind why they didn't do an hour-long first episode, right? It's like they're still doing hour-long episodes. They're just, I feel like, calling them 2 episodes so when kids are watching it. Yeah. Which, again, actually, these get pretty dark. Yeah. Let's be honest.
They definitely deal with some stuff, and
this first episode, not so much.
No, but
this is a good, like, fun one. This is, like you said,
it opens kind of fun. But you know what? Once we leave the shores and we see Sid with your girl.
Yeah, my girl Wanda Sykes. Wanda Sykes is playing a new character on the show called Fee. Yeah. And then my another one of my favorite characters on the show, Sid, is, you know,
that's who I was talking about as your girl before. But I mean, we all I love Wanda Sykes. So seeing Wanda Sykes show up in Star Wars is great because she's also in the show Vampirina as a gargoyle, as a stone gargoyle.
Yes, that's so cute. And like, I know you watched that one.
Yeah, I watch it with my daughter. So like, it's great seeing her like aside from like, I mean, I haven't seen a lot from Wanda Sykes other than her being Gregoria. I think
that's hilarious. I know her from comedy.
I think, well, obviously I know her from comedy, but like I haven't seen her recently. I feel like other than this, when I'm watching this show with my daughter and we're just laughing the entire time. So it's really great to see like Wanda Sykes show up here. I hope she shows up in a lot more.
Me too.
But this whole
she kind of came in. All right. So they go in to meet Sid to give her their mission, what they did their mission for, to get paid. Yeah. And the chest. And Wanda Sykes is in there, kind of like giving Sid some guff because she sees the crew that crew that Sid's been hyping up. Yeah. And she kind of just gives her like, whatever. So she leaves and says,
that information isn't free.
So that's what we get from her, and that's it from that character in this episode. So again, I hope we see more of her because Wanda Sykes is great, and I would love to even see her and Rhea Perlman go back and forth because those are 2 just great actresses. They're
awesome. They're awesome. So I would love to see it. But what I was talking about getting a little bit darker is like the conversation they have. It's like, you know, Hunter's like, what do you guys have? What was she talking about? And it's like, it's your next job. And he's like, what do you mean about a next job? And she's like, well, let's go. And she says, I need you to go steal Count Dooku's war chest from his castle on Sereno, his home planet. And like Hunter's like, nope. Don't want any part of that. We just got back. Are you crazy? No, I want no part of that. Then we see Hunter hanging out with Omega doing like whatever, talking.
They're taking their lessons. They're doing lessons,
and like doing lessons and stuff. And everybody else, along with Sid, so like the rest of the Bad Batch and Sid are all talking, and they vote yes, they want to do this job.
They want the money.
They want the money. And this is like the hard fact kind of thing that I was getting at is like Sid's like, it's cute that you think you're free, but you're not.
Right.
Like, what happens when the Empire comes for me? What happens, like, and like, I can't supply you anymore.
Can't supply you with money, with jobs, with what you need to do to get by right now, which is week to week or paycheck to paycheck. You know, not week to week. I'm thinking my job. No, but like they're not. It's not a thing that can continue forever without a big high stakes mission like this. And they all agree that they need to at least try. Mm-hmm. So Hunter kind of interrupts.
Yeah, and it's like, what's going on here? What are you talking about? And they're like, we voted on it. We're gonna do it. And so like they decide to go.
And as a leader, I think that's awesome of Hunter to not like push back. He doesn't want to do it, but he's going to do it because his team wants to that much that they kind of...
Well, Sid makes the point that, like, this scoring something from Dooku's war chest would be worth more, as you were saying, instead of living paycheck to paycheck or, like, job to job or whatever. This war chest will cover, like, every take that you've made from me, Sid says. Yeah. Like, this war chest equals that in one score. So, like, we need to do that. And that is what ultimately... That and, like, the fact that Hunter is a good leader and isn't going to just, like, fight his whole team. If everybody's like, hey, we want to do this, he's going to, like, side with the team and be, the diplomatic person about it in that sense, which is really great. So it's like, it's a way to have a future, have Omega, and it's great. But... one thing that we do get is the next jump cut we get is them in the ship traveling to the castle and everything.
Castle Sereno.
Yeah. And doing all of that. And we get the Echo and Hunter conversation where Echo is just kind of like, we're here because of Omega. Like we made a choice. And like he does say, like, as Hunter's like, like, what are you doing? You don't say that. She's right over there.
Yeah.
Like trying to, do that.
And then they keep talking, and he explains himself that it's
He's like, he was like, I would do the same thing again.
Yeah,
I would do the same thing again. But that's what he's saying.
My point about Echo's point is, I think he says we saved Omega, so we have a burden now. Yeah. We don't have freedom. We have to fight for what we believe in because we made a choice saving Omega, and that's always going to be a target on our head. So if we don't go out and fight and save more people and try to do something about it, this is going to be a forever problem for us. And that's going to be an interesting intrapersonal thing going forward with the Bad Batch, because
Omega thinks she's a burden.
And she thinks she's literally a burden now at this point because she overheard and it wasn't understanding the context of the whole what he meant. Because I don't think he was sad that or mad that they saved Omega. I think he was glad they did it. He was just trying to use her as a point, and that's how kids hear that they only hear what
one part.
Which understandably, and I think that part was good on establishing what's to come, Yeah.
And then, so, after that, we're basically there. We're on Sereno. They're seeing the war chests are starting to be removed. They have counted 40 troopers.
Right.
And Omega's like, Wrecker, we need stealth. Like, Wrecker's like, all right, let's just do this. 40's not that bad. Yeah. Like, let's go.
It's time for the heist.
And, like, it's time for a heist. And so, like, we need to be stealth. Hunter goes and puts some bombs on the escort ships.
Yep.
And they basically start their operation then. And they basically start in. He goes and does that. The rest of the team, Wrecker, Omega, Tech, and Echo, all go inside the container and start, like, going inside. Searching for it.
There's enough treasure. They don't know what they're just looking for a war chest. They're looking for any like big valuable big war chest item that has the best value.
Let's talk about what they're talking. Let's talk about what a war chest is in this sense. Because, like, to be fair, a war, like, when I hear a chest, I kind of just think of a treasure chest, which you usually see from, like, a pirate movie in, like, Blackbeard or whatever, and like, yo ho ho, and So that's what I was kind of expecting here, but like in a Star Wars version, and we got that in the Star Wars.
Yeah, definitely.
In the Star Wars way is that there is one giant container that's like a shipping container. You could see it on the back of like an 18-wheeler,
it's a
semi truck
like
or whatever.
A freighter that's carrying
It's
a
like a
bunch
freight container,
of shipping containers.
And then inside that big freight container are a bunch of other containers. And this is what basically the Bad Batch is what they're going through, trying to see what they can get. Wrecker gets one like thing together, I believe.
Yeah.
And they get out of there, but they have troopers not storming, but searching all around.
Coming around,
and
looking around.
So in order to get the rest of them out, they call in Hunter for his distraction. They blow up the ships.
Yep.
And so they blow up the ships. Crusher gets his one box out. The rest of the team
Wrecker.
Wrecker gets the one container out, and then the rest of the team gets caught in the container.
Yeah. With the more valuable.
Yeah, with the more valuable,
war
like
chest.
what would you call that? Would you call it the diamonds or the jewels? Basically?
It's whatever you want it to be. I'm sure there's an explanation on some Star Wars thing, but it's a war chest.
I thought some of it was kyber crystal, and I wonder if that's why
it looked like crystals.
Yeah,
maybe. And no one, I don't know, but knowing why not, right? That could be very valuable.
Yeah.
And anyway, those are all things stolen from other planets, right? So like, I think Omega's like,
Omega, yeah. And so Hunter and Wrecker then, because all the containers leave, so like the container holding the Bad Batch minus Hunter and Wrecker are leaving, flying away. Hunter and Wrecker are on the outside of it. They're being shot at. They get over the throne palace, or the throne room, basically, of Dooku. Where
we saw in Clone Wars and Asajj Ventress was there too, and like it was just it was really cool seeing that again. I don't know. I just love the fact that we're just continuing the Clone Wars legacy with the show, and like Star Wars is just so amazing with their animated stuff, and I'm just so psyched about it. Dooku's becoming more and more interesting character the more they add, especially with this animated stuff, like your Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, Tales of the Jedi. Is
come on, it was amazing looking at what he did, because we'll get into it. We'll get into Dooku more.
But so the rest of the team then, once Hunter and Wrecker are inside the throne room and they're messing around with like an elevator in there, the rest of the team gets out of the container and tries to go into like the ship that's like ferrying the containers away. And they blow all the escape pods, like they shoot off all the escape pods. So now they can't leave. And they're still searching, and we're talking Omega, Tech, and Echo still searching the ship with a container. And oh man, dude, this stuff is like harrowing. It's awesome.
Yeah,
and
I mean, like
troopers are now coming out.
Right when this mission started, you knew Hunter was right.
Yeah,
like nothing goes right from the beginning. It was just like the right when they get there, the treasure's being lifted away. You know what I mean? Like it's already too hard.
You're already,
it's gonna be ridiculous, and then they get in one predicament after another. The team gets split up basically, and we're left locked.
So they're locked in the container. Hunter and Wrecker are locked in the throne room.
Right.
And what happens is the Echo, Tech, and Omega get back to their big like freight container, and they are like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get out of here? And the Empire does what you didn't think the Empire would do, and releases the containers. Or is it, I'm sorry, does Tech release the containers?
Tech, I think, releases the containers.
Tech gets it to release all of the containers off of the ship. So now they're all falling. But Omega, doing her studies at the beginning of the episode, gives Tech some
Ideas.
some
of
happy
what-
thoughts,
Yeah.
some reassurance that there's boosters on these containers that will kick in and will kick in and should save them. And as they're falling, the last thing we hear is, "Oh, I think the boosters should have kicked in now," and then we get a black screen.
Right.
End of the episode. What'd you think? What'd you think overall? First episode.
I loved it. It was fun. It was really it was short, sweet, to the point. We know we're getting into it now.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I wanted to see in the Bad Batch. Like, we're talking about Dooku. We're going to Dooku. Like, he's gone and stuff, but his legacy remains. Like, all the stuff that happened with him remains, which we'll find out in the next episode. Like, it's just really fun to see this world expanded upon in the way that the animated shows have always done well.
Yeah.
And the Bad Batch is like maybe it's almost an anthology series without being an anthology series, because they're just kind of a catapult into a story from some random place in the universe.
Yeah.
They're a way to talk about what happens to clones after,
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no, I love this first episode, and I love how it just episode 2 just starts right off.
Right.
Episode
2 starts off right away, and
we're
that was
still
the
falling.
and that was the
that's
cool,
why it's basically 1 and 2. Just like, you watch them together.
Yeah, you watch, and well, that's why I like that they actually gave us these first 2 If you were the way you ended episode 1. If you didn't give us episode 2 right away and made me wait a week, I'd be I'd be mad.
Yeah,
it would be annoying.
That. That wasn't a good ending. Like,
but it is reminiscent.
Cheap cliffhanger.
Yeah, it is reminiscent though of like the first episode of the first season, which was like an hour long. It was a mini movie, but it had a lot to kind of set up and get you guys
definitely.
and get us all like ready for and reacclimated with the world and everything. But it was great.
We met a young Kanan.
Yeah.
We met, so like that first scene is one of the better animated battle scenes. It's so fun but anyway. But and then when Order 66 goes, oh my god.
Yeah. But you're right. Episode 2 starts out right where episode 1 ends. Tech Echo and Omega falling. Falling, and finally boosters turn on. Hunter and Wrecker got down through an elevator, and they are climbing out a window through a lower floor to get into the ruins of the city, because they're like, we can run through the city, through these ruins, and we can make it through, get it to the Marauder, and then go get them, because that is their mission right now. It's still the same mission from the end of episode 1, that Hunter and Wrecker need to get to the Marauder, their ship, so that they can go and pick up the rest of the team.
Yep. Who is, still free falling in the middle of the sky. Before we get to what happens to them, one of my favorite scenes, it was in the end scene in episode 1. Omega is questioning what they're doing.
Yeah.
She's new. She's not some battle torn person like Echo is, and she's questioning, like, how could one person have all this?
Yeah.
Which is, true of our world too. How could one person have all of this? Like, it's not fair. And aren't we doing the same thing? And you can kind of see it that way. But then, Echo chimes in, gives another perspective, and is like, it just depends on where you spend the money, basically.
Yeah.
Where you put the funds is the difference between the two things, which I don't necessarily agree with. So let's see if that adds to some more of the fun interpersonal stuff that's going to happen between the team this season. I think it's not just going to be it's not just Crosshair who feels differently all the time. So they're falling, and they're dealing with the boosters not working, and it kind of kicks in at the right time, and then they land on a ledge, and then they fall.
But they land on the ledge, and here is where they land on the ledge, and then Tech's leg gets crushed, because the container, it lands on the ledge. They start moving around. They go to the far end of the container, and it
And
falls
knocked him.
over
Yep.
one edge onto another ledge, just a little lower.
Yeah.
And in this is where Tech gets his leg crushed, and this sucks. I remember watching it, and I was like, "Ooh,
Even out, yeah,
I
like,
winced.
ooh.
I
Yeah, it
winced.
wasn't like
and I know
normal
it's a
cartoon violence, like where it's like
I
Bugs Bunny gets his leg, because it was like, ooh, this is sticking.
was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that hurts." I don't know. So like,
Ouchie.
yeah, ouchie. That did not feel good. So
They have to hobble through the forest now, with a broken leg Tech, and they
get themselves out of the container and up the ledge,
and they
but-
run into
and then they get up, or no, they get out of the container, they get up there, and and Omega's looking back, and it's like, we can't leave.
Oh yeah, she's still begging to go back.
She's like, we can't leave the container. Then we cut back to Hunter and
Right.
Wrecker,
back in action.
and like Hunter and Wrecker are seeing the troops out where like they are in the city and stuff, because they're like, walking through the shadows, being all sneaky,
Which is a cool
and,
scene.
yeah, which is all great. But then Hunter goes over the comms and does their like, hey, comms off, like no more talking over, like no more comms, no more signals or anything like that.
Yeah,
we gotta go radio silent, and Omega. Then we cut back to Omega.
Yeah.
And then that's where she's like, like, this reminded me, as silly as it is, this reminded me of Shaun of the Dead, of where Ed is looking out into their garden, and he's like, there's a girl in the garden. Because Omega's like, there's a man following us.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, from the forest, there's somebody following him, and his name is
Romar. Romar is the guy following him, and
he's an indigenous to the planet Serrano, and that where Dooku's from, and he was there basically the whole time when Dooku was basically stealing and exploiting his people
and stealing all their goods and everything,
Yeah.
and just
again reminiscent of what goes on in the real world.
Yeah.
These people who just want to own everything and get all the resources, and it's just interesting seeing an indigenous person like get a voice in a show like this.
Yeah, and but Romar's great. He has actually because
he's not like American indigenous.
The Bad Batch, Tech, Echo, and Omega are like, we need a place to rest, to lay low, like the Empire's out there looking for us. And he's like, you guys kind of look like the Empire and all of that. Like, and he's like, PTSD, man. Omega also has her bow and arrow pointing at him, and he's like, I don't know, I might be able to think a little bit better without her like pointing that at me, and like, so she lowers it and stuff, and eventually he takes them to their place, or at least they start walking away, and then we cut back to Hunter and Wrecker, who again, it's like they're at the cover of night, they're looking for something to use.
A way out. They're looking for a way out because they run into all these clone stormtroopers, because we don't know yet. They're in this new uniform, right?
Yeah,
something we need.
It does look like a Phase 1 version of a stormtrooper.
Yeah. So we're out of the clone. We still see a few remnants of the clone forces.
Yes.
Like some of the helmets are still around, but it's definitely being phased out, and we're seeing more stormtrooper armor. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I actually kind of like the armor details and stuff, and but it's also a foreshadowing of like the idea of what happens to the clones. Do they all become stormtroopers? Which is like, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But Hunter and Wrecker see some separatists, broken down tanks, and they're like, oh, maybe we can get these
separatist tanks.
Yep, maybe
you get to see them from Clone Wars.
Yeah,
Episode 1.
You get to see them again, and those things are great.
Yeah.
But
they were so cool seeing them coming down the hills.
Right.
So like seeing them just like junked out, like, because they're separatists. The separatists are done now. Like this is a new order. Like this is the Empire is a little baby.
Yeah.
And like it's fine and it's grounding. So like the remnants of this like this past war that's not so past.
Yeah.
It's just it's very interesting take. And then so you see a bunch of wrecked tanks and like and Wrecker sees that and
Yeah.
he gets a new toy. He wants a new toy, he says.
Yes, he does. We cut back. Romar finally gets the total story from Echo and Tech and Omega about who they are, what they're trying to do. So he feels a little more at ease with them, but doesn't really trust them or anything like that.
He's
Not
feeling
even
a little
bit.
less hostage taken.
But Omega, she's back at being like, let's get as much as we can from this war chest right now. Let's go.
The burden is
let's
on
go
her
back.
shoulders right now, so she feels, even though Echo is the one that's like, no, let's go. We gotta go. We can't, we're not gonna be able to make them like get the money. We gotta. We gotta get out of here. We gotta live. So clearly showing that he does care more about Omega than getting rich. She's not seeing it that way. She's seeing it as like, oh, he's gonna be more mad at me. This is all my fault. So she's thinking about that.
Well, and then Romar also brings up the point of like, Dooku was stealing and plundering his own people. You guys kind of sound the same.
Yeah, you're coming to plunder the stuff again.
And like, then this is what it's reflected of what Omega said before, of like questioning it, like what are we doing with like trying to get the war chest and like.
She's looking. She's looking around in the place, and she finds like this cool looking toy, basically a kaleidoscope. But she doesn't think it's a toy. She looks in it and she says like, "Oh my God, is that a treasure in there?" And he's like, "No, it's just it's a kaleidoscope.
It's glass.
It's made of glass, and it plays with your eyes. But isn't it beautiful anyway? Like right? Like what do we need to this other stuff? It's not about that, and she doesn't really get the message, I don't think yet, and she's gonna have to learn that she's loved,
I love it. Wrecker and then we cut back to Wrecker and Hunter. They can't get the tanks working. The troops are watching Hunter and Omega, or Hunter and Wrecker. Echo's out on patrols, and Tech is working on the Serenian archive, because Romar says like, I have this archive, and Tech keeps calling it a data core, and like for me that really stood out, because Romar's like, no, this is an archive of like my people, my history, our culture, our music, and like our literature, and like not just a data core, but it's like who we are, like down to all of that stuff. And so it's great, like it's great. Tech starts like, hey, I have no problem, I'll be able to do this, and Omega sees a repelling rope. Then we cut back to Hunter and Wrecker.
So she's then during all of that, Echo had gone off on a patrol. Kind of like salty boy. He just kind of walked out and went on a patrol. And while he was on patrol, apparently Omega snuck out, because he comes back and is like, "Where is she?" And she's not there. And he runs out. Echo runs out to find her.
Look.
And then shortly after that, Tech starts following. And what? He's got a broken leg, so he's like hobbling along, and we see we see Romar like, maybe I should follow them. So
then we cut to Hunter and Wrecker, who find the tank, who find the tank battery. They get attacked by troopers.
Who are out to kill, by the way. They're not like they're out to get them.
Wrecker, as he calls it, he becomes a tank and fights through the ranks as they wanted to do, and like Wrecker and Hunter get their path to get to the Marauder. Tech restores the data core. It all starts lighting up and everything, and and then we got that restored, and then as you said, they all leave because Echo just showed up comes back from his patrol and is like, where's Omega? We cut to Omega rappelling down into the container. All right, so Omega is rappelling down. Hunter and Wrecker just got to the ship.
Right.
The troopers are scanning. Like the troopers by Omega and Echo and everyone are scanning
The forest.
Yeah, they got the container dead ahead.
Yep.
And Echo is calling out to Omega, and the troopers start shooting at him. So Echo jumps down into the container. Omega and Hunter are in the container together. We get a quick cut to Hunter and Wrecker getting to their ship and getting the coordinates to where they are, to where the container of Echo and Omega and Tech and all of them are.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also get, as Wrecker and Hunter are gone, we get the early TIE fighters.
Yep.
An early version
Really
of
cool.
like an early version of the TIE fighters that are
Mm-hmm.
shooting at them. Then we cut back to the ledge, and the ledge starts crumbling, man. Right, the ledge starts to give. Omega loses her goods of the war chest. Echo keeps saying it's not important.
Right, we don't care. Yeah.
It's not important. It doesn't matter anymore.
That's about you. I want to say you.
It does not matter anymore. And
If we get that and lose you, we lost.
Right.
That's like the whole,
but Omega is like, well, I heard what you said, and like Echo has,
Yep.
like, they have the conversation here. It's like, that doesn't matter, like, and Echo's just like, you have to let that go.
Yeah,
Like
basically,
let that go. The container falls.
Mm-hmm.
Romar
shows up.
gets
With the
Tech.
save.
Yeah. Echo and
Saves Ace. I love how he calls him Ace.
Yeah.
Real old like boomer.
Yeah, real
So,
old school stuff.
Yeah. Like, come on, Ace.
But Echo and Omega get out. Romar throws the cables over, and Tech shoots the troopers that were like showing up, almost getting ready to take out
Yeah, he
Romar
clears
and all of
house.
them. They survive. Wrecker and Hunter show up, and with the ship, Romar, before he leaves, gives a gift, gives the kaleidoscope back to Omega.
Which is that foreshadowing?
Right?
Is that thing important?
Possibly.
Huh?
Maybe not. Maybe it's just a child's trinket.
Maybe, could be. Could
Um,
not be.
maybe not. And then we get the actual conversation. Like,
Yeah, so now we cut back right to the Empire, right?
no, we get the.
Oh, this is when they're talking about-
This is the actual conversation between Omega and Echo, of being like in the container. He's like, that doesn't matter.
Just
You have
let's
to
move on,
let
yeah.
it go. And then she's like, I'm sorry we lost the war chest, and I just wanted to make things better for us. And like Echo's like, we made the right choice, Omega. Like, I would make that
Right.
choice again. And like has the conversation of like, we just got to keep fighting.
Right.
Like we got to fight for what we want and stuff. Now we get the cut back to the Empire.
The Empire.
And we get what's his name?
We get Vice Admiral Rampart talking to our boy Captain Wilco.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking to this stormtrooper, clone trooper, Captain Wilco, who's the one that filed the report on the Rogue Squadron being the thieves, and Vice Admiral Rampart is not happy about that because he told General Tarkin, his boss, that they were dead.
They perished in Tabuka City.
Yeah, they were supposedly killed in Tabuka City, and it was supposed to be, over and done with. But he needs this Captain Wilco to go along with him. He needs needs a new story. Put it that way.
And Wilco's like, no, sir, I had visual contact on them, on two of them, sir. They were there, and the Admiral's like, nope. Can't have this.
I'll write the report for you, and then boom.
Yeah, basically
Boom,
shoots
boom, boom. Like
Captain.
he shoots him, and then he falls off the edge of this, ship, and he falls pretty far. So I don't think he's coming back. Even though I love the fact that we get all these new characters played by the same voice actor.
Yeah.
And they are all interesting. That just shows how good the writing on the show really is. Like, and like how great of an actor D. Bradley is, because not a lot of people could do that. Not a lot of people could have a voice for each clone trooper, let alone, do two voices on two different shows. Like he's doing pretty much this whole. He's doing this whole show and he's killing it. He's doing great.
Yeah, he really is. Hey everyone, Jimmy with the Triple C Collective here. I obviously Colin's not beside me because when I was editing this, I ended up chopping off our goodbyes. So Collin is not with me, but we both want to thank you all for joining us. We hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe to this video and to our channel, and please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Triple C Collect. I am Jimmy and Collin with the Triple C Collective. We want to thank you all for joining us for this Sci-Fi Sunday commentary track for Bad Batch Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2. I hope you all stay safe. We hope you all stay safe, and may the Force be with you.